Hey, it's Alex with alextucker.ca, and in this video I'm going to tell you exactly how you can create a marketing strategy in 30 minutes or less. So one of the most frequent questions that I see when I'm in Facebook groups and when I'm on Quora is people asking either specifically or generally, how do I market my product or services? And I see this question phrased so many different ways, but it's very often basically the same question. And that question is, how do I take whatever it is that my business sells, be it a product or a service, and how do I get people to buy that? Which is, of course, a very obvious question for a business owner to ask. It's a very important question to have an answer to, but it's a question that a lot of people really struggle with. And if a business owner has gotten used to relying on a certain source of traffic or a certain source of business, and then that source of business dries up, it can be really difficult for them to figure out, how do I create a marketing strategy that's going to get me more customers or more clients on a regular basis? And this is what we're going to talk about today. So for this video, I'm assuming that you already have a pretty good idea of who your ideal customer is. If you don't, then that's a separate exercise and you need to spend some time thinking about who your ideal customer is. And in marketing, we call that building a customer or a client persona. So the idea is that you want to actually create like an avatar of a fake person, and you can give them a name and real attributes that you would ascribe to the type of person who you want to market to. And then whenever you're thinking about creating marketing materials or creating sales materials, you don't need to think about, how do I target all of these different people? You can just think about, how do I target my customer persona or my customer avatar? And so that's going to be really important for this exercise. So if you don't already have that done, again, that's a separate thing. It's not part of this 30-minute exercise. So I would recommend you do that first. But if you do already know who your ideal customer is, then you can proceed with the remaining steps. And so basically, what I'm going to recommend that you do is that you get your journal, or you get a piece of paper, or if you prefer to use a computer, you start a new document or spreadsheet, and you basically create three columns, or have 3 pages or 3 lists, and you're going to answer 3 questions, and you're going to spend 10 minutes answering each of those 3 questions. And so the first question is, where does the ideal customer spend their time online? The second question is, how can you best communicate with the ideal customer? And the third question is, what are successful competitors to your business doing that's bringing them success? So let's go back, break down each of these questions one at a time. So the first one is a classic marketing question. If you've read books by Russell Brunson, he's huge on this. Where does the ideal customer spend their time online? The internet is basically broken up into different communities where you can find people hanging out and talking about the things that they care about, be it marketing or crocheting or hockey or anything else, from sports to business to hobbies. There's just all kinds of different communities online. You've got Facebook groups, you've got Quora, you've got forums, you've got membership websites, you've got YouTube channels and Instagram accounts that people flock to. There's all kinds of communities online, and finding where your ideal customer spends their time and what they do there is really going to be key to being able to figure out the next question, which is, how are you going to communicate with them the best? So spend 10 minutes answering the question, where does your ideal customer spend their time online, as best as you possibly can. Make a list of the different websites, the different social media platforms, the different forums where you think that they're going to be spending the most of their time, especially when they're in the mindset that has to do with your niche. And that brings us to the second question, which is, how can you best communicate with the ideal customer? So let's say, just as an example, I'm going to use Facebook because most people's ideal customers are on Facebook because it has such a massive audience. And so let's say that you decide that one of the main places that your ideal customer is in Facebook groups related to your niche. So there's a variety of ways that you can communicate with people in Facebook groups. You can answer their questions when people ask questions in the group. You can create content in the group that will be helpful or interesting to them. You can post videos in the group that will be helpful or interesting to them. That's a kind of content, but you can do videos, you can do written content, you can do image content. But you can also do things like running paid ads, which are going to target not that group specifically, but the type of people that are in that group based on their interests and some other factors. I mean, there's essentially two different kinds of marketing. You have organic marketing, which is quote unquote free strategies. They're not actually free because you have to put time and effort into them. So that's just as expensive as money in the long run. But if you don't have a budget, then obviously organic marketing is going to work better for you. And if you do have a budget, then you have the option of using paid ads. And paid ads are really the best way to scale a business, but if you don't know what you're doing with them, it's really easy to waste a lot of money. So consider what skills you have, consider what budget you have, and from there, you're going to be able to figure out what the best way to communicate with your ideal customer really is. And the third question is, what are your successful competitors doing? And there's a number of ways that you can look at what your competitors are doing. All right. You can run searches on search engines for relevant keyword terms and see who's advertising and what kind of ads they're running on Google and on Bing. And you can also see who's ranking organically for those search terms, what they're doing SEO-wise, and how they're ranking. Another really powerful resource for this is the Facebook ads library. If you don't know how to access that, just Google Facebook ads library and you'll find it. And basically, this is a collection of all the ads that are currently being run on Facebook. You can search by the name of the page, and it'll actually show you all the ads that are being run through that page at that time. So this is like really good if you have, a couple of ideal competitors in mind whose businesses you would like to emulate or exceed. Then you can look at their ads to get inspiration for your own, or to get inspiration for your content, or just to find out what they're doing to communicate successfully with their customers. So looking at ads, whether it's on Facebook or whether it's on a search engine, is a really good way to do that. And another thing that I think a lot of people don't think about that you can do to figure out exactly what your competitors are doing to communicate with their audience is join their email list or talk to their chatbots. Whatever communication methods they're using to communicate with their customers, sign up for those and see what they're actually saying to them, see what's actually going on. And then you're going to have a really good idea of what you can do to communicate with the same audience even better. All right, so again, the questions are, where does the ideal customer spend their time online? How can you best communicate with the ideal customer? And what are your successful competitors doing that you can emulate or exceed? If you spend 10 minutes answering each of those questions on a paper or in a document as best you can, you're going to have the framework of a really powerful marketing strategy for your business. All right. Now, I hope you found that valuable. Leave me a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, and I will catch up with you in the next video. Take care.